Okay, so in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to talk about harmonies. I'm talking about these pretty harmonized thirds and harmonized sixths that you hear guitar players play when they're playing a lead. And I'm going to give you a very simple, basic formula for being able to do that. This is the kind of thing I wish somebody had sat down and showed me when I was learning how to improvise. This is not a technical lesson, so there isn't anything that'll trip you up no matter where you are as a guitar player. You should be able to follow this. The hardest part of this is just visualizing, just being able to see these chord shapes. And these are just basic chord shapes that we're going to be talking about. So if you can do that, you can play these harmonies. So I've got this lesson split into two parts. In this video, we're going to go through the first half, which there's actually a whole song. That was just a little piece of the song. If you'd like to join us for the part 2 video where we go over the second half, download the MP3 jam tracks so that you can practice playing everything, plus the tablature for all of this. You can get those extra materials by going to activemelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP592. Okay, so I want to get this out right up front. So I'm not going to start off with the song, and I'm doing this on purpose because this is the meat of the lesson. If you get this, it'll totally change the way that you play, and I'm going to try and do this in a very short amount of time. So we're playing this song in the key of B, and it's really two chords that we're going to be looking at, right? So we're going to be playing over a B chord and its relative minor, which is a G sharp minor. Now, why did I pick the key of B? I didn't want any open strings. I wanted something that everything we're going to be doing here is all closed position, so you can play this in any key once you get these ideas. So we're looking at a 1 chord and a 6 chord if we're thinking numbers. Okay, so the first idea is a harmonized sixth, and it sounds like this. And it lives inside of this chord. What is a harmonized sixth? What does that number mean? It just means that these two notes are 6 intervals apart in the major scale. That's all that means. So if I go up the major scale from this note, and by the way, I'm talking about the B major scale because I'm doing this over a B chord. Those two notes are 6 intervals apart. Later on, we'll talk about a harmonized third. Those are 3 notes apart. That's all those numbers mean. Okay, so here's what's cool. So if you play this chord, this is a B chord using the A shape. So we're going to be, that A shape comes from the C.A.G.E.D system. That's what I'm talking about there. If you don't know what that means, just don't worry about it. These are just labels. But if I just look at strings 2 and 4 out of that chord, that's my harmonized sixth. So I've got one here, and then I've got one down here, which is where I put my fingers to make that chord. That makes that easy to visualize for me. So I've got one finger on the 2nd fret, one finger on the 4th fret, and I can use that 2nd fret and the 4th fret to play these two harmonized sixths. Now these are 2 steps in the B major scale that are harmonized, 6 intervals apart. That's just 2 steps, but it's already powerful stuff. It doesn't seem like much yet. If I were to play a song, for example, in the key of, let's say we had a song that had a D chord in it. Now you can do this. Or you can do chromatic between the 2 notes. All right, it's just 2 steps in the scale, but you see what I'm doing there? I'm playing the D chord using the A shape, and I'm quickly finding those harmonies. All right, so that's your first little idea, right? So we'll go back to the key of B here. Now the next shape up, if we're thinking the C.A.G.E.D system, C.A.G.E.D, the next one up, and they're linear. So after the A shape, you have the G shape, C.A.G., right? And what I mean by that is when I'm playing the A, where I'm barring there, I use my pinky to do that. If I replace that with my index finger, still the same triad, now I'm in a new position. That's all that means. I'm in the G position. So now I can take my pinky and stretch it up here and play this B note up here on the 7th fret 1st string. And that's how I play the G shape. I just play it like that. I don't try and make the full thing like down in 1st position with all 6 strings. It's just, nobody plays it like that. This is how I find it to be the most useful. That's all I do with the G shape pretty much. Every now and then I might hit this. Actually, every now and then I'll hit this note, but I never come down and hit this one in this shape. So anyway, that's my G shape but it's my B chord. But here's where it gets really cool. So get ready for some cool stuff here. So inside of this G shape, I've got this triad, which I mentioned, right? Now if I play strings 2 and 3, those two notes are a harmonized third. They're 3 intervals apart. They have a different sound than, that's a harmonized 6, that's a harmonized third. They're both pretty, they just sound a little different. But watch this. If we call this shape 1, and then we come up here and call this shape 2, we've got 2 shapes here. So shape 1, both strings are in the same fret, on the 4th fret there. Shape 2, I've got my middle finger on the 5th fret, 2nd string, my ring finger on the 6th fret, 3rd string, and I play those two at the same time. Now I can take shape 2 and slide it up 2 frets, and then I can come up to the 9th fret and go back to shape 1, right? Where both are in the same fret. So from here to here, I can connect the major scale playing harmonized thirds. And the way that you want to think about this is, the way that I think about it anyway, is starting with this triad here, which is inside of my G shape. So you can get a lot of mileage out of that little idea. Notice I did some chromatic steps. So I did that step in between. Now that's already a lot that's happening in this G shape, but there's more. I sound like a used car salesman, but it's true. Like if you come down to strings 3 and 4, watch this. You've got those two notes, right? And that doesn't sound as pretty. That's a harmonized 4th. Those are 4 intervals apart. But watch this. I can do a hammer on. So if I'm barring that, playing strings 3 and 4 on the 4th fret, and I do a hammer on to the 6th fret, 4th string, now I'm playing a harmonized third. And these are within the B major scale. This is all going to make sense here in a minute. I'm going to tie it all together. So we've got, and then you've got, now we can do the same thing we just did there, but on strings 4 and 5. So look at that. This is a B chord using the G shape, right? Here's my B chord using the A shape. Here's my B chord using the G shape. The only difference is that bass note. They both have that triad that's shared between them. But look at this. And if I take these ideas and just improvise without a jam track even, so there's all kinds of cool harmony ideas you can get from that, but let's go up one more step here. So where I put my pinky on this 7th fret 1st string, that B note, if I were to come up here and bar and play the E shape, I'm now playing a B chord using the E shape. And so I just went from the A shape to the G shape to the E shape, A-G-E. So again, it's C-A-G-E-D. That's C.A.G.E.D, right? You can see they just all connect with each other like that. Maybe you hadn't thought of that. I'm just calling that out because for somebody that'll be like a moment of realization. So once we're up here in this E shape, I'm going to give you one that we're going to use for this song. This is a harmonized 5th. It doesn't sound as pretty, but it's very useful. We're going to still be on strings 2 and 4, just like we were with the harmonized 6, but up here it sounds like this, right? And that's just playing strings 2 and 4 out of this E chord shape. My B chord using the E shape. If I play just those 2 strings, that's what it sounds like. So now you've got notice the little embellishment I did when I came up here and played. I have my pinky free, so I can go and hit this note, which would be like my 6th interval, or I can go to the flat 7 to get a little bluesy thing, but my pinky's free. That's the point, to be able to do some things like that. Now in this E shape, there's lots of other harmonies. There's harmonized 6 on strings 1 and 3. Strings 2 and 4, there's little harmonized thirds. But I'm not getting into that. For now, I just want you to hear this harmonized 5th because it's unique. All right, so real quick, let's go back to that first shape, that A shape. Remember, we got this harmonized 6 here and one down here. Let me show you one other one that's connected to these two. I'm just going to come down here to the first fret, 4th string, play that note, and then play my open B string, which is the 2nd string. So if I have that, I can connect that to these. And I'm only showing you that because I start the song that we're about to listen to. I start with this little idea, but that's where that's coming from. That's just another harmony that's off of this A shape. That's how I think of it. All right, so the song started with a B chord, and over that I played, and then this harmony that you've learned. So this first little thing is what I showed you, this harmony down here, but I started with a hammer-on from the 1st fret to the 2nd fret on the 4th string. Then we play the 2nd string open, so I'm picking on the 4th string, plucking on the 2nd string, and then back. Like that, and a pull-off. So that's how I play that. So this comes in on the and of 3. So when you're playing along with the jam track, you're going to hear the click, the 4 clicks to start with. Don't play there. Then once the song starts, don't play right away. Wait until the and of 3. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right? And then after that, we do that little harmonized 6 on strings on fret 2, slide up to fret 4, and those are out of my B chord right here using the A shape. And now we're going to come up to the B chord using the E shape to play that harmonized 5th. We already talked about this, right? It's my B chord using the E shape, just strings 4 and 2. There's the little embellishment with my pinky on the 9th fret 2nd string. And now after that, the song goes to the G sharp minor. And then here's what I played. I just played strings 4 and 2 right there. Now why did that work over the G sharp minor? Well, if we look at G sharp minor voicings, we've got one here, that's where I would bar. Here's my G sharp note, right? And this would be my G sharp major, but you lift your middle finger and you've got your minor, just like your E minor shape. So I've got it here. I've also got one up here. Here's another voicing for it. So what's nice about this is here's my B chord, right, where I'm barring on the 7th fret. If I put my index finger on that same fret, 1st string, I've got the 6th chord. So just remember, that's another little takeaway idea. So file that away. 1 chord, 6 chord. So in this case, it's my B and my G sharp minor. That's my G sharp note, by the way, on the 2nd string out of that. But anyway, out of that chord, that minor chord voicing, strings 4 and 2 are what I played. So after that, I played a different position of my G sharp minor because the song stays on G sharp minor. So I went from this, that's all I played, and I came down here and went. So this is just my G sharp minor down here, which we talked about. If I play strings 1 and 3, it's the same as this, right? Exactly the same. And I played, actually when I played strings 1, 2, and 3, or 3, 2, and 1. But playing the top part of that G sharp minor chord. Now I added this note here as an embellishment. And then there's this cool pedal steel lick, which is so cool, and I love this because this will be another light bulb moment for some of you. What we have right here between the 4th fret and the 7th fret is my major pentatonic scale pattern 1, my B major pentatonic scale. So if you look at the G shape, let's go back to that G shape. right? Here's my B chord using the G shape. It straddles that major pentatonic scale pattern 1. You can see it there. So now connected, oh yeah, I've got the little harmonized thirds, which are running right through major pentatonic scale pattern 1. Major pentatonic scale pattern 1 is minor pentatonic scale if it's a G sharp minor, because that's the relative minor and they share that same scale. So for the G sharp minor, it sounds minor, right? It sounds bluesy. But when the song goes to the B, that same scale sounds happy and major, because it is. Okay, let's look at that pedal steel lick. So what I'm doing for that is a pinky on the 7th fret 2nd string, and then I come down, I hold that note, I come down to the 6th fret 3rd string, and I do a full bend with that while I'm holding that down. Now I'm picking on the 3rd string, plucking on the 2nd string when I do that. Then I come down to the 4th fret, play strings 2 and 3, and then this note, which is just in my G major pentatonic scale pattern 1, 6th fret 4th string, and then 4 and 3, that's that harmonized 4th on the 4th fret there. So it's like, now after this harmonized 4th, we already talked about this, right? You come down to play strings 5 and 4 with a hammer on to the 6th fret 5th string, right? And then I come up and play those harmonized thirds that we talked about. And that's where the song goes back to the G sharp minor there. But you know what those are. I'll put those up on the tab. But now you know how to find them, right? They're all in the key of B, and they're off of my B chord using the G shape or the B chord using the A shape. Either way, they come off of this little triad. That's how I think of it. Strings 2 and 3. And then did a hammer on between the 4th fret and the 6th fret on the 4th string, 4th fret 3rd string, and then back to that 6th fret 4th string. So after the little hammer on the 6th fret 4th string, I play the 4th fret 2nd string. These two notes are in my G sharp minor chord, right? That's the harmonized 5th. So that would work for major or minor because there's no third interval. So if it was a G sharp major, it works. If it's a G sharp minor, it works. It works either way. It's the same thing because it's using that E shape. Same thing we talked about with the B chord up here using the E shape. Now after that, now this is where the song stays on the G sharp minor again. I came up to this harmonized 6, right? It's out of this chord shape. Okay, and then there's an embellishment off of this, and I don't really have a good answer for why it works. It's obviously in the scale, but I don't have a chord shape to connect it to. But check this out. That's what I did. I took that and then went up 2 frets. That works in a minor key, right? So off of that G sharp minor, if I'm in this, playing this harmonized 6, I can go up 2 frets, and that's in the scale. A little half bend there, and then back. And that's where we're going to end the part 1 video. The second half goes into, there's a key change, so we go into an E chord and we do some other stuff, but it's using these same ideas that we talked about in this video. So I hope you've picked up a few ideas in this lesson that you can apply to your playing right away. If you like this lesson, leave a comment below and let me know. I always appreciate that. And then if you've got questions, feel free to leave those too. I read through every comment, but it always helps me a lot when you give me feedback. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would encourage you to do that. I put out lessons like this every week, and I've been doing it for about 12 years now, maybe 13. I don't know, a long time. All right, we'll see you in part 2 where we'll go over the second half.